Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Rebecca Decker. I'm the founder and CEO at Evidence-Based Birth, and our research team wanted to talk with you about our response to the Supreme Court decision on abortion. At the beginning of this year, I began to think about the consequences of this ruling and what impact it might have not only on our audience, but also how can we support people and organizations working toward reproductive justice.
Hi, my name is Ihotu Ali, and I'm a research editor here at EBB. For those of you who aren't familiar with birth justice is one component of reproductive justice. Reproductive justice, as defined by Sister Song, an incredible organization, by the way, as, quote, the human right to personal bodily autonomy, to have children, to not have children, and to parent the children we have in safe and sustainable communities, end quote. Reproductive justice also recognizes that due to oppression and racism and all the isms, people from marginalized groups face a few extra challenges in maintaining our own bodily autonomy. This could include a lack of access to contraception, a lack of safe and appropriate prenatal care, childbirth care, postpartum care, child care, and a lack of access to abortion, right? And also the general lack of resources to raise our children in a safe community. So we've seen this especially lately with the infant formula shortage in the midst of not having enough lactation professionals in our communities, right? We've also seen this in communities of color, as well as in lots of other communities that are subjected to tragic amounts of gun violence.
My name is Ricky Jenkins, and I'm the instructor coordinator at EBB. We know that this ruling will have a huge impact on many of our readers, our pro members, instructors, podcast listeners, and EBB childbirth class students. That is because abortion bans can directly or indirectly impact anyone who can become pregnant. This includes women, girls, queer, trans, and non-binary womb-holding people. We also know that abortion bans disproportionately impact people who are targeted by white supremacy culture and violence, including Black people, poor people, young people, people of the global majority, disabled people, and people from the LGBTQ+ community. When abortion bans introduce a criminal aspect, certain medications and treatments become that much more difficult to access. Because the treatment of abortion is the same as the treatment for spontaneous miscarriage or miscarriage, and because providers will be afraid of being arrested for assisting in abortions, this makes treatments that much harder to get. It means that these laws can endanger anyone who can become pregnant. We also know that fetal personhood laws, which are being passed into law by different states, may contribute to more regulations of our choices during pregnancy and childbirth. There are many situations such as VBAC, home birth, declining an induction, or declining any medical interventions in labor, where under fetal personhood laws, pregnant people could be accused of endangering their fetus when they're simply just trying to make informed choices about their care.
So after a lot of thought, what I decided to do was to invest time and resources into looking into the research on abortion. I did this for 3 reasons. 1, because I felt like my own education on this topic was incomplete. And 2, I wanted an internal research document that could help educate our team. And then 3rd, I was talking with Dr. Saida Pepra of Black Women Birthing Justice, and she recommended that we make this document public so that other people and organizations who are working toward reproductive justice could have access to this research.
My name is Tyler Jean Dukes. I am a doctoral candidate who has done a research fellowship with Dr. Decker in the past. Earlier this year, Dr. Decker reached out to me and asked if I would be interested in contributing to a project on the topic of abortion. Before we even started, though, we had an initial meeting where we shared our biases and life experiences as they relate to abortion in order to start the project with a critical sense of self-awareness, but also to then hopefully engage in the most unbiased manner with the the data and the research that was to come. From there, we made a list of questions that we were interested in having answered in the research, and then I began researching and summarizing what I was finding with Dr. Decker. We meet weekly where we go over the information that I gather and also try to piece together how these different sources and articles and books make sense in a linear fashion, but also relationally, how they make sense with one another and in relation to each other.
We both learned so much together. I learned so much. And so what we are doing now is we're taking this research and we're putting our summaries of the research into a Google folder that's public and anyone can read or browse.
The information is a work in progress, but we hope to include at least these 6 things. 1, the history of abortion, from ancient history to more modern history, but especially including a timeline of abortion from about 3000 BCE to current times, which is something we have not seen in literature. 2, research on the basic demographics of people who seek abortions, the demographics of people who support abortion access, and the demographics of people who oppose abortion access. 3, research on how abortion relates to reproductive justice for communities of color and for the LGBTQIA plus community. 4, research on the reasons why and when people seek abortion, both in unwanted pregnancies, but also in wanted or supported pregnancies. 5, research on how abortion bans put people with spontaneous miscarriage at risk for wrongful accusations and criminal censure. And 6, a list of websites where you can access resources, including maps, articles, grassroots campaigns, and more.
My name's Erin Wilson, and I'm a research editor here at EBB. I wanted to explain that we couldn't put the actual research studies in the folder because we don't own the copyright to those studies, but Tyler has done a huge amount of work to summarize the studies and pull the best quotes from each source. We also link to and cite every reference that we used. And this isn't a signature article, but it's more like a public repository of summaries of all of the research that Tyler has been examining over the past year on behalf of EBB. And so you're welcome to use it as a library of sorts as you're trying to digest this news and figure out your reaction to the decision and how it may affect healthcare and pregnant families in your communities. You're also welcome to use this evidence-based information in your own communities and organizations free of charge.
We hope that this information will be particularly helpful for birth workers involved in reproductive justice organizations. Anyone will be able to find this resource from the top of our Birth Justice resource page, which you can get from the front of the EBB website in the main menu. So just go to evidencebasedbirth.com, click on Birth Justice, then you'll see a link to the abortion research resource guide.
Hi. My name is Allie Buchanan, and I'm the Content Team Manager and Operations Coordinator at EBB. In the past, we've published topics on things like antibiotics for Group B strep, the vitamin K shot for newborns, routine newborn circumcision, and the COVID-19 vaccine. So we are no stranger to controversial topics. Abortion is another topic that can generate a lot of heat from the public. So I wanted to give you a little info about how we'll be handling the response to our abortion research resource guide. Unfortunately, due to the expected high volume of feedback on this topic, we will not respond to everyone who reaches out to us. Many questions people send us are answered inside the resource guide. Therefore, we encourage you to thoroughly search each subtopic inside the Google Drive. In preparation for questions, we also composed an FAQ document about the resource guide that answers questions and comments that we anticipate. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, we ask that you read that FAQ document first before contacting us.
It can be difficult working through this information, right? Some people may find that they have very strong emotional reactions to it, even to this very video right now. And that's okay. We just ask you to be aware of your emotions. And if you can, try to separate your emotional response a bit from the words and the text that you're reading. So if as you're working through the resources, you start to feel like your heart rate is speeding up, or you feel foggy or completely numb, or angry and very intensely emotional in any direction, That's okay. It just means that you may be experiencing a trigger. A trigger is a sign that you might want to turn inward to process some of these emotions rather than turning it outward. It's as if the body's asking for your attention to something that's going on. Some tips that we can share on doing that inward processing in a healthy way includes journaling, right? Going outside and getting some fresh air, moving your body a little bit, shrugging your shoulders, right? Maybe meditating, praying, or talking with a trusted friend or a counselor. It can be as simple as stopping for a moment, taking a few deep, slow breaths, noticing your shoulders, your jaw, your belly. We also encourage anyone who wants to talk respectfully about this topic to listen to the Evidence-Based Birth podcast number 87 for more information on processing triggers and why some topics are just so triggering for us. This episode is called Communicating Respectfully About Difficult Topics. It's one of my absolute favorites. It's a great conversation, and it's taught by a guest speaker, Kristen Pascucci of Birth Monopoly. You'll love it.
We know that this topic affects real people's lives and that many of those people are our readers, members, students, and podcast listeners. It is our hope that we can help bring evidence-based information and compassionate discourse into an emotionally charged and triggering topic.
If you have any questions or concerns about this resource and you are a current pro member or instructor, please don't hesitate to reach out. However, please remember that we are real people and we have a zero tolerance policy for shaming, personal attacks, shouting in all caps, announcing your departure, or any kind of trolling. On the other hand, if you want to further support our work, you are more than welcome to join our pro member community. There are also scholarship opportunities available.
We know that many people are feeling a wide range of emotions right now, and from the bottom of our hearts, we wish you peace, healing, energy, and rest as you navigate this topic and its implications for your community.